many people are saying, gee, I wish I had Harry's girl. Here's the latest trailer in the Harry and Meghan Netflix drama. Dropped yesterday.
There's a hierarchy of the family. You know, there's leaking, but there's also planting of stories.
There was a war against Meghan to suit other people's agendas.
It's about hatred. It's about race.
It's a dirty game. The pain and suffering of women marrying into this institution, this feeding frenzy.
I realized they're never going to protect you.
I was terrified. I didn't want history to repeat itself. No one knows the full truth. We know the full truth.
All right, let's try and unpack that. We've got Emma Gillespie on the phone from Mamma Mia Out Loud podcast. Emma, okay, where do we start with this? How do we begin with the way this has been unravelling? Oh, I'll try that again. Sorry, Emma, I didn't have you on the line there. I thought, gee, this is an exclusive. You're lost for words. And I think we all were when we saw the trailer yesterday.
Yep, Phil, I'm absolutely speechless. No, this has been in the works for a really long time. We'd heard that Harry and Meghan had this Netflix deal almost immediately after they, stepped down as working royals back in 2020. And we finally are going to see this Netflix docuseries dropping tomorrow. We're getting 3 episodes. So it's volume 1, which is eps 1 to 3. The week after, we'll get the next 3 final episodes. But this trailer, it's the second in as many weeks. But the first trailer was really, I don't know if you saw it, very suspenseful, lots of music, not a lot of talking, whereas this one is really led by Harry. And what's caused a stir is him confirming these rumours, I suppose, that the firm, as they're called, have planted stories or have, conspired against them and leaked stuff to the British tabloids, which is definitely going to cause, a lot of drama in the palace.
Well, that's the inference anyway. The inference, if you believe what the trailer is going to tell us. But I often wonder, and I'll come back to something that pertains to novelists, whether or not we are actually being led down the track of sensationalism here, and what we were eventually going to get is perhaps a little bit of disappointment at the end of it.
Well, we'll see. That's what the firm would definitely have us believe. They've said that there's nothing to see here, and, that's been their message all along. But we have heard so much sensationalism, as you said, when it comes to this story, particularly when it comes to Meghan. And in her words, it's, time for them to share their side of the story when the stakes are so high. But also, inevitably, all of these Diana comparisons, her image throughout these trailers, and Harry's words, of the pain and suffering of women marrying into the institution, and that it's a feeding frenzy. So it'll be interesting to sort of see those storylines compared to each other, but goodness me, it's a lot, isn't it? It
is, and I wonder, it seems to be the case with Harry that he's harbouring a great deal of anger, unresolved anger over what happened with his mother, and this is his opportunity to finally vent after all of these years at the expense of his family, we're led to believe. And it's one of those stories where if it bleeds, it leads, where, it's continually giving you new information. Wills has had to come back to talk to his dad about how this leaves, as you call them, the firm in the UK, the royal family. Also was the, Netflix trailer dropped at exactly the time when Wills and Kate were in America. It really is, playing out as a real-time, real-life version of The Crown.
Exactly. And I think what everyone's waiting to now see is, are William and Kate going to tell us their side? Are we going to hear from them? Because there's really been 2 approaches here, where it's either, the sort of hard-on-your-sleeve vulnerability of Harry and Meghan, or the William and Catherine approach, which has been, duty, stoicism, silence. And I'm not sure if it's really working for them at the moment. So maybe, we need to see that tell-all interview from them, and whether or not that will come, who knows?
Well, it's the only story in town, and they're probably the most 2 divisive people, I think, at the moment in the world. Here's my thinking, though. There's this axiom among novelists, to paraphrase it, that once you give your work to Hollywood, you have to relinquish control of it. And I think there may be an element of that with what's what's happening with Harry and Meghan. They've basically sold their story to Hollywood, and Hollywood have said, okay, well, now we own it and we're going to do what we want with it, which means taking photos of events that don't pertain to their situations. We found out there's been more and more of this, like photos of them being hounded by the press when it turns out to be something from a Harry Potter movie preview, photos from, people gathering to see them, which are photos from, the 1950s. There's been a lot of that, inferences to Meghan talking about being followed by the paparazzi with then shots sort of spliced in to make it look like that's what's happening. I wonder how much of this is Hollywood that they don't have any control over because they've sold their story.
Yeah, that's very true. And, what you're referring to there, sort of out of context shots that have been used, taken from other events, woven throughout their story. And it's not, it's kind of disappointing because it's not as though they haven't been hounded by enormous press packs, but it's just clearly that, a producer in the cutting room thought, actually, this photo sort of tells this story better. Yeah. And it caused immediate blowback for them and given their haters, in inverted commas, a bit more fuel in this debate. But, yeah, I'm sure that they have a lot of say over the final product in terms of the episodes that we're going to see.
I wonder if they do. I wonder how much control they've got over the editing, because Netflix want their money back. Well, at least they want to make some money out of this, for them to come out and go, well, hang on a second, that's not actually what happened. It's probably too late for them to say that they were badly edited.
Yeah, well, we'll see. They've had a hand in controlling the narrative as much as possible, so it would surprise me if they hadn't negotiated those terms with Netflix. But, then again, as you say, Netflix has spent a lot of money on this, and I'm sure they're looking to get as much of that back as they can, and they'll do whatever they need to.
So when do we get to see the first 3 episodes?
Tomorrow, 7 p.m. It's a global event. We're getting it at the same time as the US, the UK, everywhere around the world. Wow. 7 p.m. for us.
Get your popcorn together. Can we check in with you later on this week to find out what you think of that and what the wash out? Everyone's going to be watching it, right? Yeah, love it or hate it. It's, it's something that you can't help but see.
Yeah, can't look away from it.
Emma, nice to talk to you. We'll definitely check in with you later on this week. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, Phil.
Emma Gillespie there from Mamma Mia Out Loud podcast. And yeah, like I said, you may have thoughts either way, but you can't escape this one.